Good evening, everyone. I'm Jill Lawler. I'm the pro temp in the Narragansett Town Council. I will be substituting for Eva Dolinski tonight, who is on a conference out in the West Coast. And Eva actually asked me to read something for her. Eva is not able to be at the meeting tonight and was sad to miss the tree lighting last night. This past April, Eva was selected to be a speaker at the American Society of Health System Pharmacists meeting on the West Coast, which is being attended by more than 20,000 pharmacy professionals. Earlier today, she presented with the chief medical officer from her employer, Yale New Haven Health Systems. This is a huge honor for her, and please join me in applauding her. So,
Could you please call the meeting to order?
oh, I'm sorry. Call the meeting to order of the Narragansett Town Council meeting, December 5. If we could all stand, please, and we pledge the flag. I pledge my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so tonight we're going to start off with the approval of minutes. Although Steve and I did not serve on the previous council, we are not going to approve the minutes, but merely accept the minutes. So both Steve and I can vote on this motion. So is there a motion to accept and place on file the minutes from the November 7th, 2022 executive session?
Jill, before you do, I think you should, just to, out of abundance of caution, make a motion to seal these minutes. I think Susan and Deb should be part of that because only 3 people left in the council who were part of that session because it was November 7th. Just an abundance of caution because it was a litigation-related executive session.
Okay, so how would you like me to amend the motion?
Just amend the motion to make a motion to seal.
And accept?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it has to be 2 separate motions because Susan and Deb would vote on that first, and then the full council can vote on the motion to accept at the sealed minutes.
Okay, so Susan and Deb are going to vote on the motion to seal,
Correct.
and we're going to vote on to accept. Okay, would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to seal the minutes of November 7th.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes 2-0. The next motion to accept and place on file the minutes of the November 7th, 2022 executive session. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second?
And Jill, should make those minutes as sealed, please.
As seen.
As sealed.
As sealed. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is an update from our town manager.
Good evening, members of the council, the public here today, and those of you at home watching. A few items to report. The resilience planning program for Galilee that was approved by the town council is being conducted by URI's Landscape Architecture Studio, and they will be presenting their findings at a public forum on Tuesday, December 20th from 5 to 7 o'clock here at Town Hall. There are hard copies of the flyer by the main doors, and they've been posted on the town website, social media, and provided to the regular media. It's going to be posted here before the meeting, and then it'll be back up at the end of the meeting. COVID still is around. We have 3 staff members who are out due to COVID, and if anyone in the audience needs test kits, we have them available. Budget department heads have begun their work on their budgets in preparation of the meeting with my office and members of the finance team. We've already begun our internal discussions, but the formal process is underway shortly. The governor's executive order declaring a declaration of disaster emergency continues until at least December 11th. For the purposes of that, it's for financial issues and disaster and reclamation of some of those funds. And that is about it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. The next is a motion to, do I need to start the public hearing?
No, we can't start till 12.
You'll go right to consent, and then we'll
Okay.
go back to the public
All
hearing
right,
today.
so we'll go ahead and start with the public forum. Public forum is last for a period of 1 hour per our town council rules. Should there be people willing to speak, wishing to speak after the 1/2 hour is completed, they're welcome to stay and speak at the end of the meeting. Please know you have 3 minutes to speak, up to 3 minutes. You don't need to take all 3. and please act respectful. Anyone wish to speak tonight? Ms. Town?
Is this on? Yes. Carleen Town, 240 Wood Hill Road. Not to beat a dead horse, but I would like to comment on the last town council meeting and the aftermath of deep concern in the community over it. Jesse was right when he compared the election of the president and the president pro tem to that same election in 2018. Only this time it was the second and fourth place finishers instead of the third and fifth. It was deja vu to watch that carefully orchestrated usurpation of power. By the way, who placed those name plaques in those predetermined spots before the election even took place? Perhaps the regulation that 3 council members conferring outside a council meeting constitutes a quorum doesn't apply until after they have been sworn in. But only the blind would not see the collusion in the actions of the members who elected the current president and president pro tem. Eva's letter to the editor in the Narragansett Times was another contentious act on her part. In it, she belittled Jesse's truthful comments and deviously planted the seed that someone's, was the comment directed at Susan, actions were too unflattering to mention in her letter. She speaks of integrity, but then makes that underhanded comment. Beware the wolf in sheep's clothing.
Thank you, Ms. Town. Anyone else like to speak tonight? Dr. Alba?
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace, Narragansett, Rhode Island. As I was sitting for dinner at George the Galilee, a lifelong fisherman approached me and thanked me for my continued fight to save Galilee from becoming a street-level parking lot. He felt a mixed-use development would be ideal. He also stated that all parking lots that are not in compliance with zoning should be held accountable. In the land close to the boats, he recommended allowing the fishermen to use that area for netting and other fishing-related areas. He added maybe a 1-level elevated parking lot in that area zoned GFI, Galley Fishing Industries, can be placed in that area. So the fishermen can use the area for their boats and other activities. He also wondered why private companies are allowed to use parking lots for their profit. He added some temporary housing for fishermen or some affordable housing might be nice. As many of us know, parking lots are being operated out of compliance with town zoning. So many of us want to know why. I was hoping to see the town council generate several motions to stop the RIDM from allowing Procasiante and any other leasee from violating our town zoning. So hopefully that will be forthcoming because we have an upcoming, on December 20th, a URI resiliency study, which I hope will be looked at and examined, and hopefully it will not be in vain. But for it not to be in vain, we as a town have to work collectively, uniformly, and unitedly, not in division. So I hope that possibly a cease and desist order for the operation of street-level parking lots that are not in compliance with town ordinances be implemented. A motion to have our building inspector inspect the Lighthouse Inn. A motion for our town council members to reach out to our local state legislators and representatives. A motion to have RIDM be released from controlling the 5-acre parcel, as they failed in their fiduciary relationship responsibilities to help Narragansett. They created a burden rather than helping. Our council president and her husband put together great videos, and I do want to applaud her for that. But let's continue to fight. We cannot stop now. The deadline has passed with respect to the parking lot operators applying for a special use permit. If we do not enforce our laws, those violating the laws will continue to break the laws. The RIDM mentioned in September the property will be inspected after 90 days. Can we trust the RIDM? By the RIDM continue allowing Procasiante to operate illegal parking lots, one has to question the effective management of their ability for property in Galilee. They cannot do it effectively. It's scary. I feel the town has to take matters in its own hands and bring the RIDM into court. Other cities and towns in Rhode Island have previously taken the RIDM into court and they won. But if the town of Narragansett fails to act, then our town will fail. And we will lose this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to create a vibrant mixed-use development plan to help our state, the town, and commercial fishermen. Let's hope this town council plays hardball to win and not softball to lose. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Alba. Anyone else wishing to speak this evening? Please.
Sue Ann Maruso, 111 West Bay Drive. We the people are the first words of the United States Constitution. We the people voted for town council positions. We the people expected our votes to be counted and respected. Sue was the top vote getter with 102 votes more than Eva. She got 947 more votes than Jill. 1,250 votes more than Steve. So even though not in the town charter, voters in Narragansett sent a message that Sue was their top choice for whatever their reason. It is not up to anyone to discount the votes of others, saying students are transients. Are we going to check histories of voters to see, which ones count, which ones doesn't? Or I heard the comment that she doesn't get along well with some town employees, and I do. This isn't who gets along. It's for we the people, who we vote for. We put the town council members up there. And our town felt that Sue was the most capable to run an organized meeting and be aware of how important Robert's rules are to be followed. So questions. How does fourth place Jill move into second place with 947 votes less than Sue? Why not Deb, who had 126 more votes than Jill? How does the last fifth place Steve move to vote in second Eva and fourth place Jill to spots 1 and 2? This was obviously prearranged, and as mentioned before, it's entirely legal because technically you were not voted in. So you were not held to the same standards of violating a quorum and deciding things before a meeting. So we, the people, lost our voice in this power play. And Eva, even though she's not here, I watched the meeting and Jesse's input. I watched it a couple of times, and I did not see any attack on you, your moral character, as you said in your letter, or other derogatory statements. I accepted the role for reasons of good cause, too unflattering to mention here. Well, if you're going to bring it up like that, you ought to have the gumption to say what you mean instead of innuendos. At least we were saved, the people, to be able to comment on items before the council as they vote on them, because that was going to be denied by Jill and Steve, which I find unbelievable. We, the people, should always be able to voice our opinions on matters before the council. That is what democracy is. And as far as going with another town solicitor, the one we have now is always prepared, never says, oh, I'm not sure, I'll look into it, as our previous one did. And I could go on, but my message is, we are a democracy. We, the people, are who you serve, as we, the people, voted. It is your job to listen to all, and we really don't appreciate this power play.
Thank you, Ms. Moroso. Anyone else will speak tonight? Anyone else? Mr. Zonfrillo.
Paul Zonfrillo, 7 Windward Circle. Section 2.1.3 of the town charter says, at its first meeting, upon the election of a new council, the council shall elect one of its members as council president, and said individual shall serve the pleasure of the council. The president shall preside at the meeting of the council and shall be recognized as the head of the town government for all ceremonial purposes and by the governor for purposes of military law. So hopefully martial law is not called in Narragansett, and we have to rely on President Jarzynski at that point, because we wouldn't want martial law. But he or she shall have no administrative duties. Such office shall not deprive the council president of his or her vote on any question. At said meeting of the council shall elect from its members a president pro tem, who shall also perform the duties of the president in the absence or disability of the president, and said individual shall serve at the pleasure of the council. This is democracy. You can't make stuff up. You can't make up what you want to be in the charter. That's the law. And what's really disgusting is watching people come in and try and say that the will of the people has not been honored. I mean, we've seen this movie before, right? In order for somebody else to have been elected president, the people should have elected 3 people that agreed with that. So making up these rules about who was in second, who was in fourth, implying that there was something untoward going on, assaulting the president's character, it's all a power play. And Ms. Bonanno, I would challenge you to tell your people, because these are your people, right, that are coming up in your surrogacy, the Democratic Party, for the good of the town, please ask them to stop screaming about democracy when democracy has been 100% honored here.
Thank you, Mr. Zonfrillo. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, and because we need to wait for 8 o'clock for our public hearings, we're going to go on to the rest of the agenda and start with the consent agenda. Is there a motion to move the consent agenda forward?
I'll make a motion to pass the consent agenda unless anybody has anything to pull. Do you have
Second.
anything, Paul?
Well, I was about to ask that, Susan. Thank you so much, so. Would anyone like to actually pull a motion on any item from the consent agenda? Nope.
So I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're moving on to new business. The first is from the Building and Zoning Department, a motion to approve the waiving of all town permits fees for the new library to include building, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing permit fees. I'd like to turn this over to our town manager, Jim, to be able to explain to us, please.
Yes, good evening, everyone. There are 2 items on the agenda tonight. One is from the building official's office, and the second one is from the fire chief's office. They do inspections at new facilities and older facilities, and there are certain fees that are assigned to each one. In this particular one right now, these are the fees in the building official's office. By ordinance, the town manager can waive these fees if it is a town building, and these are the town fees that can be waived. There are other fees totaling between fire and building official's office that cannot be waived by the town. They're state mandated fees. But the fees for this particular function, the building official's office, total $21,856.50. The ordinance doesn't really call for a full breakdown, but it says that we have the authority to waive them. And those are the numbers for the building official's office. And for fire, in the next agenda item, it would be $15,518 for a total of $37,374, which is authorized by town ordinance to waive.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tierney. Now I'd like to go around to the council and have each council member speak, starting in alphabetical order with Susan Cicilline Bonanno.
So should we move the motion first before we talk about it? I mean, technically, I'm just checking. I'll move it, and then we'll have a second. Yeah.
Thank you, Susan. That, I'm a little rusty on Robert's.
Yeah,
rules.
so
Appreciate that.
I'll move it. If somebody seconds it, then we'll discuss it. Okay. Okay, now for discussion. So I'm supportive of this motion tonight.
Mr. Ferrandi?
Thank you, Pro Tem. I just have a few questions on it. I agree with the idea. I just was wondering, if the total is $37,374, was any of this reimbursed by OLIS at the point? At any, I don't know who can answer that, where the reimbursement was as part of the total construction cost? If anyone can answer that.
That's yet to be seen as far as what would be reimbursable for that. This is common for any town building. When we have construction projects done, that it's waived.
Yeah.
If it's a large amount, I'll frequently bring it before the council just for the interest of transparency.
Yeah, the only question I had is, if it could possibly be, it would be even better, but I'm fine with it, and I think it's a, good idea. Thank you.
Ms. Kobeck?
No comment.
I have no problem with this either. It's a town building. We should pay for this. We should not float to the library. But I would like at some point, next meeting, and not to go too far off the subject matter, but it'd be great to have a public workshop to be able to talk about the progress that the library's made. But it looks like we're all in agreement, so I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next motion is from the fire department. It's very similar to the last motion that we made, a motion to approve the waiving of all town permits for the new library to include all fire plan review fees. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Discussion, Jim? Any further?
Now, the figures that I gave would be 15,518 for fire, which should strictly be town fees, and there are some other state fees that they cannot waive. The only thing left to do now is see if the public has anything to say, and you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very great. Ms. Bonanno? Do you have anything to say?
No comment, I'm all set.
I'm sorry, Cicely
Yeah,
Bonanno.
thank you. Yeah, appreciate that, Jill.
You bet. Mr. Ferrandi?
All set. I'm in agreement with it.
Ms. Kovac?
I'm all set.
I am as well. And does anyone from the public have anything to say? Seeing none, we'll take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next motion is a motion to approve the renewal of the annual service agreement for 5 LifePak 15 defibrillators and 1 Lucas chest compression system from Skylar Medical in the total amount of $11,132, payable in semi-annual installments of $5,566, and to authorize the town manager to sign the contract after review by the town solicitor.
I'll
Is there a
move the motion.
Second?
Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Dr. Kovac. Discussion.
Kopic.
Anything from any counselor? Public? Do you have anything from the public? I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next are 2 motions from the police department. The first is a motion to receive and accept a sub-grant award from the state of Rhode Island and the U.S. Department of Justice in the amount of $108,500. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I am going to refer this over to Jim for an explanation, please.
Chief.
This program the chief has been working on, along with the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Association, I'm going to ask him to come up and also speak on it. But this is a 100% reimbursable grant with no matching funds required. It increases the transparency of police actions in the community. We haven't had any problems, but every department in the state is going to the body worn cameras, and the chief has been working on this extensively, and I'd like him to come up and say a few words about it.
Good evening. Yes, so I have a quick statement. That's okay if I read that for you.
Sure.
So June 25th, 2020, the Rhode Island Police Chief Association announced our 20 for 2020 campaign, which is a list of 20 promises for all Rhode Islanders from their police departments, and I signed on for the Narragansett Police Department. Promise 10 on that campaign was for every police department to explore a body-worn program for their communities. And we promised to investigate grants to lower the cost to the taxpayers. The Police Chief Association surpassed this grant. We worked with our partners with the Attorney General's Office and the Department of Public Safety to come up with a proposal, which was supported by the governor and Rhode Island legislature, to pass legislation for a statewide body camera grant program. And we also applied for Department of Justice funds, which was successful as well. And then for the past year, myself and other chiefs worked on a model policy for body cameras that's mandatory for any department that's going to accept this grant. So I was happy on October 14th to participate in a press conference with our partners to announce $16 million in grant funds that is going to outfit 1,773 frontline police officers in the state. And this right here represents the first 2 years of funding of reimbursements available for Narragansett, which will be, as you can see in my package there, for a total of $108,500. That'll pay for all the cameras, that'll pay for the equipment, that'll pay for the software. Our first year, we're putting all our money into actual hardware. The second year will be a portion, $9,130 will be left over, which we will use to offset administrative costs. So if you have any questions, I'll answer them.
Does the council have any questions at all?
Chief, I was just wondering, how long do the cameras last? What's their lifespan? Do you know?
The cameras are really the cheapest part of the program. The company that we're looking at, it's really just like a cell phone. If you break it, they replace it automatically for free.
Oh, cool.
This is a 5-year leasing program, so we don't have to worry about the cost for the 5 years. And I said it's being paid for with grant funds.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I must feel, if Stanley Wojciechowski was here, he'd want to praise you, so he's not here, so I'll have to do it for him.
Stanley.
Does anyone on the council have any further comment to make on this at all?
No, great job.
No, it's a jump start on the cameras, so, it's nice to take advantage of grant money when you can.
Anyone from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next two, another one. Next one is also from the police department. A motion to approve the police department's request to hire 2 probationary patrol officers. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Jim?
This also is a project the chief has been working on, and you'll see that one of the officers is to replace, one of the probationary officers is to replace a retiring officer who is leaving in January. The second position was contingent upon the council approving the body-worn cameras. It has been budgeted for an administrative position to work with the body-worn camera administration and with the accreditation as well. If this approved, it will be created probably in August of 2023. Originally, we thought maybe the program might be up and running before then, but this is a good timeline for it as far as for the positions.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone from the council have any comment or question? Seeing none, does the public have any questions or comments? Okay, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. We're getting ready for public hearings, so let's just stop for a few minutes so we can get ready for it and hit right into that. We have public hearing in 2 minutes. Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We'll go ahead with our first public hearing. First public hearing is a motion to schedule a public hearing for text revisions to Section 5 of the zoning ordinance historic district. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So this hearing that we're going to be scheduling, the scheduled date suggestion is February 6th of 2023. And the hearing will be regarding the following. In 2009, the Historic District Ordinance was established, and over the time since then, it's been clear that we need some text revisions. So the public hearing will be to cover the text revisions suggested. So again, it's a February 6th suggested date. Is that good for members on the council?
The 26th of February, is that what you said?
It's the 6th of February?
The 6th. Yeah, it's a regular meeting then.
There's a regular meeting.
So is that fine? Okay.
That's
Everyone will
fine.
be here? Okay, wonderful. So we'll go ahead and set the date for February 6, 2023. All in favor? We did. Thank you, though. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The second is a motion to refer this request to the planning board for review and recommendations. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Okay. Is there any discussion in the council? Okay. Any discussion from the public? No, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to open and hold a public hearing on the application of Surf Shack Bed and Breakfast LLC for a new Class B tavern alcoholic beverage license at Assessor's Plot C, Lot 344B, 83 Narragansett Avenue, Narragansett, Rhode Island. Is there a motion?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The hearing is now open. And we'll be having a discussion tonight about, on August 22nd of 2022, the zoning board approved a change from a rooming house to full-service inn. There was a Class B limited license that had been established to the site, which was abandoned in 2020 when that business went out of business. So therefore, there is no license for us to transfer, so we have to have a new license application. The conditions for the last establishment was food service ending at 9 p.m., alcohol ending at 10, and there was no entertainment. The town council has authority tonight to be able to apply additional restrictions should they so choose. So is the applicant here? Hello,
evening.
welcome.
Jack McGreen for the applicant. The applicant is Surf Shack Bed and Breakfast LLC. The property is located 83 Narragansett Avenue and identified as Plat C Lot 344B. As you said, on August 22nd, we obtained zoning board approval to convert an existing non-conforming boarding house into a legal conforming hotel with a restaurant via a special use permit. And we also obtained Historic District Commission approval for all the improvements that they've made within the HDC's jurisdiction. Existing footprint of the building will remain unchanged. You mentioned the last restaurant that was there was a 9 p.m. food service would end and 10 p.m. Liquor. The zoning board suggested and agreed that we could remain open till 10 for food and 11 for alcohol. Other than that, Lindsay Holmes is here with any questions that you may have concerning the running of the restaurant.
Jack, I didn't see a menu.
Say again?
I didn't see a menu. Usually they submit the menu with, you want us to open till 10, so I didn't see what the food choice was and everything. Did you want to speak to that?
As far as what the menu.
Yeah, just,
Hi,
as it's a
Lindsay.
new
Ms. Holmes?
establishment, I'm just,
Lindsay,
Miss,
could
would
you
you
just
please-
raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Lindsay Holmes, 24 Fernleaf Trail in Narragansett.
Thank you.
it's going to be serviced till 10, right?
We're proposing food service until 10 and then liquor service until
Till
11.
11.
And just to kind of clarify how that affects us operationally, if we have to stop serving at, let's say 9 o'clock, it prevents us from seating a new reservation or a new table pretty much after 8, so it kind of really hog ties us a little bit on an operational end. So that was kind of more of a compromise that we made where we are wanting to kind of limit our hours in comparison to other restaurants that may stay open to, a little bit later. We're looking for our kitchen to close at 10 and then the whole restaurant to be, closed for 11.
All right, what kind of food are you serving?
We're
Is it-
still working on the menu. We haven't hired, we just actually put out our listing for an executive chef, so we're allowing that individual to kind of put their mark on the menu and not wanting to kind of put the cart before the horse.
I'm in agreement with all the recommendations, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support.
Any other comments from the council at all?
Yeah, I have a few comments. Thank you. The questions I have is, that, the last establishment there was an hour earlier in because you're asking for, an hour later. It is kind of in a, high residential, and it's an R, I believe it's an R10 or R10A zone. It's a non-conforming use and all that. And my concern is that it's just, the parking lot isn't that big. It's kind of close to each side, so I don't really know if that extra hour is going to mean that much more, but it potentially could. So what I would ask is that you might consider conditionally in the beginning, and then, as you get going, maybe go up to the correct time. Or, or if you think you're really going to be able to monitor it, or what have you done for the monitoring and all
So
that?
I think that that is, as ownership, that's how we've addressed it. We think that sound has the potential to be a problem at 7 o'clock at night, just like it does at 11 o'clock at night. So we have partnered with a company called Noise Aware, which is, think about it as like ADT, but for sound. So we have perimeter sound monitors that we can place at our discretion at the perimeter of our building, even the side setbacks from our close neighbors. And we can have those monitors alert management and ownership when sound approaches a certain threshold, and then again when it exceeds a certain threshold. I think a little bit of a difference between previous tenants in that restaurant and myself and my wife and our team is we're owner occupied. It was kind of leased out before. We're holding the whole house, so to speak. So if I have guests in rooms above that are being kept up, disturbed by patrons on the front porch or in the dining room, I have a lot to lose in not addressing those complaints. So aside from a community standpoint, we wanted, in order to make sure that our guests that are staying overnight in the inn are also enjoying their stay. That was, we think, a very crucial element to help kind of get ahead of these sound complaints and kind of address the noise before it gets to a problem where it's disturbing our neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, that was my main concern, and, maybe, I know you probably don't have to do this, but maybe an outreach to the neighbors in that area, if you get going, you know what I mean, just so it's not such a shock. There really hasn't been much there in a while.
Absolutely.
And the place looks really nice. You've done a lot of work and a lot of hard work, so.
And we are, we actually, since we purchased, we welcomed new neighbors to one side, and now we've got kind of, the other side is up for sale right now, so we're kind of interested to see what the new owners will be there. We're having 24-hour staffing, which is also, we're hoping that we'll keep any kind of sound complaints, at a minimum. But we are working very closely with our neighbors and making sure that any concerns that they have are also concerns that we're trying to get ahead of.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a big help. Just, Narragansett's not that easy. You can, lack of a better term, you can throw a rock and hit a residential house, so it's
Sure.
really
Born and
under a
raised, yeah.
microscope. So, but
Yes,
the
for
more you
sure.
can do for that, the fine, and, I guess I'm okay with the extended 1 hour
It
for the
becomes a
new
problem-
establishment.
It becomes a problem in the summer when you consider, it's movies on the beach, for example, aren't getting out. The sun, it's barely dark out. So to kind of shut down that early, we find that we'll lose a big piece of the pie to other areas that are staying open, later. For example, when we leave here, you're kind of hard pressed to go and find a bite to eat afterwards. So we think that we do have, that will really hurt our profitability if we have to shut down and, that much earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kopeck?
Hi, Lindsay. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I had a similar issue with regard to the potential for noise when I saw your proposal. So I'm curious about this noise system. So, we actually have a noise ordinance in town.
Yes.
And do you set I don't know how this works, I have no idea. And I'm not an
It was foreign
engineer, but
technology to us too, so
Yeah.
it's something that we actually got going and we got the contract with this company 6 months ago, so we could kind of wrap our brains around it. Nobody else around here uses it, and I
Right.
think it's just because no other business owners or even landlords know it exists. I think it has its footing in other areas around the country and not so much here.
interesting idea.
But what you can do is you can actually, it's very, very crazy how much you can program it. You can program it to times of the day, days of the week, And you can set these thresholds, which we
Right.
love, that it alerts you not just when someone's screaming, but it alerts you when noise is starting to get louder.
So you can set it to like the decibel level that we're,
Exactly,
that's how you do it?
exactly. And you
Okay.
can manipulate those thresholds based on whatever, what the sound ordinance is, or what we're finding is a good level of acceptable sound.
Okay. The only other thing I'm thinking, and I'm not sure whether we can do this, but can we do this conditionally, like for, 90 days or something? Not probably this time of year, because nobody will be there, but, just to make sure that everything's okay. I don't have any idea if that's possible.
I think all conditions on licenses are conditional.
Are
So you can
conditional,
you can
okay.
revisit it if there's complaints,
If
you
there's-
have a hearing or talk to
All right.
Lindsay and her people, and then come back. They have to come back every year for renewal, so.
That's the beauty about having licensing. It's licensed as a hotel and a restaurant, so if there is a complaint, we'd be marched before the town council
Okay.
to answer any of the complaints.
I don't think there'll be any complaints, but just,
Deb, I also think that there was, at some point there, and maybe when we were before town council, or, no, I'm sorry, it was when we were before zoning, when we were going for the zone change. But all of this was on the table for conversation then as well. We did agree that we would have this noise-aware audio surveillance as a condition of holding that hotel license.
Okay.
So that's something that we are committed to using. They did put verbiage in that we could use noise-aware or a similar company in case this does kind of catch fire and maybe there's some market competition and we could go and use, a different company. I'm hoping that it really
does what you want it
really
to
does
do.
what it's advertised to do. And I think what it also does is it either validates the noise complaint or it doesn't.
Right.
So I think you have a date stamp, you have a time stamp. You don't have just a time that a call comes in to dispatch when they get a complaint. It's real life data. We can say, no, when that person called at 8:58, this was what the sound
Sounded
was
like.
coming from our
That's
property.
pretty cool.
And to me, being, very cognizant of our hotel guests, I think it makes
Yeah.
us comfortable. We're a little bit unique in that we don't want to make our neighbors mad. Our neighbors are much further away than my guests are upstairs, and especially in an old building. So I think that we have this unique set of circumstances there that it's going to cause us to be very, very aware.
Well, great. Well, like I said, congratulations
Thank
and
you.
best of luck, and
Thank
I
you.
look forward to when you open.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Holmes, I only have a few questions for you. The first thing I'd love for you to do is speak to Wayne, our building inspector, about the noise aware, because I just think that is a really unique thing that we could probably implement all around town and solve some problems. So thank you for
Absolutely.
bringing that one. I appreciate it. Now, I read that in the zoning meeting that you attended, that you had also spoken about a few limitations, restrictions that you were willing to impose. One was the entertainment, not to have entertainment.
Yes,
That's
yes.
still the case?
Yes, so we are not wanting any outside live music whatsoever. I think that we have speakers outside, they were actually existing, but very low conversational kind of background
Okay.
type of music.
Wonderful. And then a couple more questions. Can you please explain what passive service is?
Yes. Passive service is where you're not, how best to describe it? I'm trying to give you a good example. Active service is when you are seated at the bar or at a table, and you have a server that is coming in and taking care of you and waiting on you. And then when you're having this passive service would be like a cocktail waitress coming to an area and taking your drink order, giving you a drink, and then walking away. So it's different, it's just different levels of service. We have no passive service. We are only doing, you're coming in, you're sitting down at the bar at a table and getting served that way. So that's kind of,
Gotcha. So when you were talking about there'll be no service of alcohol on the deck or the front porch, someone would need to be at your bar and then leave the bar and walk out to the porch or deck
no, the
themselves?
front porch is going to be a waitress section where
Okay.
you can sit down and you
Okay.
can get service.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Would anyone from the public like to speak? Sir? And sir, if you could allow James to please swear you in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address.
Donald Chernick, 88 Narragansett Avenue.
Thank you.
I'm very much confused. One of the things that confuses me, tonight I am here to go to I guess, a zoning or planning meeting regarding the issuance of a license for this establishment. And I was never notified that that meeting was either canceled or was not to be held. That was my first issue. I only learned about this because I was in that adjacent room and I heard conversation relating to this subject matter, which is okay, but I was never notified. And my neighbor had come with me, and we were here. So, but on the issue of the restaurant, I think my major concern, and I said this at the zoning meeting, is that the quality of life, residential life, be maintained by those residents in the neighborhood. It's very unusual also to have a restaurant with a potential liquor license in a neighborhood where there are residents. Why? It contributes possible noise, traffic, congestion, parameters that potentially could affect quality of life by residents. But I hope this establishment, in connection also with the residents, can work out a happy medium. But I think the idea of the restaurant, again, which was aptly noted by the council members, about parking. Now, if it is a successful restaurant, which I hope it is, well, you're going to have a considerable amount of parking on the avenue. And I have experienced this in the past with 2 restaurants. But the issue was kind of resolved on the hours of operation of the restaurant. And I always say this, I was involved in planning in 2 cities in the state of Rhode Island. And all of you up there, which I had learned when a gentleman said this to me, can plan my life, but you've never lived my life. And that's what I'm trying to do, and with my voice, is that the continued acceptable residence is maintained, that I can invite company to my house, being a senior citizen, and be able to park at points of time in front of my house and not pull the vehicles into a driveway and back out into a highway. In the past, we have had measurable accidents because of the parking situation. And a number of years ago, I, with other residents and associations, introduced a new parking ordinance for the town. And it really had a dramatic impact. One, we could entertain people, the residents themselves could park on the street, and it worked out well for both the avenue as well as the town in general. But the question is, a few other restaurants have opened up in the past. One, which was very successful, but their hours of operation ended at 2 o'clock. So from 2, there was no problems. But up until 2, I couldn't get in or out of my driveway. I couldn't park. I had problems with garbage in the street, basic issues. And I'm sure it'll not happen here, but as brought up by the council itself, adequate parking, and at what hours will the business or the establishment close? And does that mean that the recipients will have to vacate the premises, or will they be allowed to sit, enjoy themselves? At night, I say this, noise is increased. You can hear noise when people are generally talking. I mean, you can hear people going to their cars, talking and screaming. And if they don't think they're talking loud, then you hear the slamming of the doors. Now, would residents be happy just closing their windows to avoid this? And these are the concerns you have. I'm sure they have solutions, but they are concerned. We were invited tonight to attend a meeting regarding the issuance of a liquor license. Now, that has some serious parameters for various populations that would go to this restaurant, where it would be served, and, they really want to be discussed. And wholeheartedly, you support this establishment, but you want to ensure your well-being. I mean, everyone in this avenue being also a historic district, and that establishment never having a liquor license. It was a tavern when it was first created in the 1880s, and it was only for those people staying there, like a bed and breakfast, and they served, I guess, some drinks back then and food, but it was not open to the public. So again, it's a situation where you like to work out a nice solution where the residents are happy, the proprietors are happy, and you support it. But you want to be insured, as each of you would be, if you lived across from this establishment, would you be happy with how it's administered and everything that accompanies it, so you could enjoy your home? That's all I'm trying to say. And I do support the restaurant. I know it can be very successful, but the establishment has to understand the concerns of the residents. The only problem we have here, there are a number of residents on the avenue who are not owner-occupied. These structures are not owner-occupied. So there's not that much of an interest as an owner-occupied residence. And people, again, don't think it could be an issue. The restaurant opens up, serves their beverage, boom, but then the problem begins. And the question is, in my own mind, everything can be solved, and there can be a solution. And so when that restaurant opens up, we, the residents, support the restaurant. Go there and eat, enjoy. But the question is, we're not for profit. The restaurant is for profit. That is a major difference. We're there to enjoy our home setting, entertain people, and that's all we're looking for. And in the past, that has not been an easy accomplishment. So I thank you for your time. And again, I wish the proprietor the best of luck. And as long as we can work out and be involved in maybe some of the planning, I have not been approached, my neighbors have not been approached, I think it's a solvable problem. And especially with the issuance of a liquor license, that has real parameters for this area. Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Just briefly, Sarah, not to put you on the spot, but as far as notifying abutters, were the abutters notified of this?
Yes, we have proof of the notification as well.
Okay. Sorry, Sarah, it's a town practice that the abutters do get notified. I'm not quite sure why you didn't get yours. Perhaps you could. This is the meeting. Okay. Okay. Well, sorry, I'm glad you found us. So you could comment. Would the applicant like to address any of the concerns brought up?
Yes, just briefly, like we said before, it is a licensed activity, both the hotel and the liquor license. So if there are issues, certainly Mr. Resnick can pick up the phone and speak to the building inspector, and if the complaint has some legitimacy to it, we can certainly come back here before the licensing committee and talk about it. So that's the control you have, as opposed to right now, we have a boarding house there. There's no control. You can't call us before and say you can't have a boarding house anymore. But we have a hotel. We've converted it from a non-conforming use to a conforming use, which is what the town wanted. I think people were here before trying to convert it to, I think, a real estate agency, and they wanted a zone change, and the town said no. So, we're here, we have a conforming use, special use permit, and we have control for both licenses, both hotel and liquor.
Can you please explain the parking? I know you have more on-site parking. I think there was a number that might help relieve some of the questions.
So we have, the way the parking works is I believe you have to have one space or 1.5 spaces for each hotel unit, which we do have. That's where we we have the space. Every other restaurant in town, I mean, let's face it, I mean, the Coast Guard House doesn't have enough space for their parking, nor does anybody else.
And I
So,
think as a resident, as to someone who works every day on Narragansett Ave, and I'm a mom of four, I drive a big old Expedition, pulling out of the Surf Shack isn't easy. I am not naive to any of his concerns, but from a business owner, and I don't mean to sound so black and white, our business model is meeting the parking requirements that you folks set forth for us. If someone can then turn and say, well, that's not enough, then that's a whole other conversation. My business plan checks the box of having adequate parking to support my business. So I am not numb to the fact that parking is an issue everywhere in Narragansett. I'm also one of the owners of the train station on Boone Street. We are super, super blessed that we have a good amount of parking there, but I look at my neighbors, I look at Crazy Burger, and I look at PJ's, and we all feel the pinch for parking. I don't think, I really don't think that we are going to adversely change that any more than a sunny day does when the beach gets busy. So we, as business owners hoping for growth, have looked at different, options for, overflow parking here and overflow parking there. When we were at planning, a couple of people brought up, various other open lots, and it's just, we're operating and we're meeting the ordinances that are set forth. So I don't mean to say it like that to discredit the concern, but, we're meeting that.
And it sounds like
criteria.
you're willing to work with the town. Should any complaints be made, we can come back.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
wonderful. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Ma'am?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Arlene McAleer, 35 Wanda Street. I just have some concerns. The past liquor license, as stated before, the food stopped at 9, the alcohol stopped at 10, and there was no outside entertainment. Moving this up an hour, I believe that means that the hotel or the restaurant will then allow people up to an hour after the 11 o'clock alcohol time to vacate the premises. That would be midnight. And I think as a person in the community, that's a little late. I also have some concerns about, you asked about the passive service. In the paper that was online, it talked about that the passive service would be allowed on the outside decks. Does that mean the decks on the second and third floor of that building? And according to that, there is no time limit for those. It does say that it's for people in the hotel, but they could get very crowded at some points if you had a lot of people from the hotel on those outside decks. They're in the back of the premises. And I just have some concern if they're allowed to serve alcohol till 11 o'clock at night. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry for the misunderstanding with that. Seeing as how we've gone to planning, we've gone to zoning, we've come here, we had to do the zone change. We've kind of allowed our business model and our approach, particularly to liquor service, to kind of evolve through this whole process. I think that's why we have this process, so we can kind of learn where we as owners have to adjust. We are having no service to the rear deck. We felt like with our abutting neighbors at that point, it just seemed like we wanted to test out this noise-aware equipment more. We were not even comfortable as owners to serve out there. So that is absolutely off the table. The front porch, we consider an extension of our dining room. So we will have this, you'll have the same experience inside in the dining room than you would on the porch as far as service, but none of the rear decks.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak tonight? Dr. Rowell?
Yes, Dr.
Can
Al
you
Alba.
please raise your hand and have James swear you in? Thank
Do
you.
you swear to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. So I can see the sincerity of this business owner. She has been doing due diligence. I also understand the concern, like if my property, and I was the gentleman in the back stated, and the lady in the back mentioned, their concerns, which are legitimate concerns, let's face it. None of us want our peace and tranquility to be interrupted by a business. But I think she has assured us, and it's on tape and it's recorded, that, if there are any complaints forthcoming, that she will, she will address them. I have looked into before, they actually have these, I don't know how many windows they have at this establishment, because I've never really looked at it that in any detail at all, so I have no idea of knowing. But they actually have these sound block for the windows, which if there's a lot of windows, a lot of times sound can reverberate out. So that is another option. And I'm on the Odd Town page. If she does have a lot of windows, there's a company that actually does that. They'll come in and they actually put these enclosures right over the windows, and it basically blocks out 80–90% of the sound. It's pretty amazing. So in any event, I wish her well. I think they've done their homework. I think they dotted their I's and crossed their T's. And I'm a big supporter of small business. We have the Odd Town Narragansett Facebook page. So once you get started, you can feel free to promote your local business on that page. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any last words from the applicant?
No, thank you. That concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So is there a motion to please close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing's now closed. The next motion is a motion that will be discussed by the town council only, and it's a motion to approve the application of the Surf Shack Bed and Breakfast LLC for a new Class B tavern alcoholic beverage license at the Assessor's Plot C, Lot 344B, 83 Narragansett Avenue, Narragansett, Rhode Island, subject to state and local regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so for our discussion, we'll like to start with Susan Siciliano.
I'm all set. Wish you well.
Mr. Ferrandi.
Oh, I'm all set.
Ms. Kopeck.
I'm also all set.
Okay, so one thing I am as well, but we do have the choice here. Do we want to add any restrictions? If so, we will need to reword the motion to include restrictions.
No, I think the applicant has said that, they pedal back, so I think we should give them a fair shot. I was sitting up here when it was going to be a real estate office, and that was pretty contentious, so it suits the area. I think they're well aware of it. They obviously have some remediation for noise, so I wish them well, and I hope we can give them a fair shot.
Just one comment. This isn't as much of a restriction as it is of a possible suggestion. If it really takes off and gets popular, which we want you to, that you can, possibly maybe investigate some kind of parking mitigation, off-site parking or something like that to try to help out the situation, move the vehicles in and out as quick as you can.
Councilor
Thank you.
Kopeck? I'm good. I just want to make sure, James, as far as restrictions that we mentioned and the applicant agreed to, as far as no entertainment, no live entertainment, no serving of alcohol on the rear deck, and having the deck service only on the front porch, is that already in to the ordinance itself, or will we need to reword those?
I think you should mention those in the motion
The
itself.
restriction.
It makes sense.
That's fine. It is in the zoning approval with our
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but the hearing's already closed, I'm sorry. But so James, would you like us to include those restrictions in this motion, or is the motion as written fine?
So just to be clear, I'm looking at the decision from the zoning board. And were those conditions incorporated in that decision?
I know the noise aware was, or Jill Saba
Yeah.
changed that to be or something equivalent. And the rear deck, that was a pivot that we made before zoning, so yes, that was an agreed upon contingency then. To the best of my knowledge, James, that's my recollection.
Right, and the What are the time limitations, if any?
Yeah.
In regards to when we want to stop service,
Service, yes.
kitchen closed at 10, liquor done at 11.
I think that makes sense. If you could include those conditions, then that makes sense.
Okay. Sarah, you agree? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion including the restrictions?
I can try.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this liquor license, because that's what we're doing, right? With the understanding of service ends at 9 o'clock, alcohol service ends at 10 o'clock, and that.
Is that correct? I think it's 10 o'clock and 11
Want to
o'clock.
move them out
I'm
back
sorry,
1
te-
hour?
10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, sorry, Sarah. Now I forgot what the other restriction was.
No service to the rear deck?
And no service to the rear deck.
No live
And no
entertainment.
live entertainment, period.
Team effort.
I'll second that motion.
Is there a second?
No,
Oh,
Susan just
Susan
seconded.
Duxbury? Okay,
Yeah.
great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations.
Thank you. Did you get that, Sarah? I did. Okay, good. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay. You did great. Okay, our next is a motion to open and hold a public hearing on the renewal of alcoholic beverage licenses for the license period of December 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2023 per applications.
I'll move
Is there
the
a
motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. What this is going to be doing is, at the last meeting, we approved most of the liquor licenses, with the exception of two that were late in coming to the council docket. So we have really three motions here to vote on tonight. We have the motion itself, and then the motion to renew one license, which will be a Class B limited, and one will be a Class B alcoholic beverages. So the first is a motion to approve the renewal of alcoholic beverages licenses for the license period of December 1, 2022 to November 30th, 2023, subject to compliance with all state and local regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second? Sarah?
Just want to, if there's no discussion, you're going to want to make sure you close the public hearing before you make the motion to approve.
Okay, thank you so much. So is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you so much. So back to the motion, I'll just read it again, just to be clear. Motion to approve the renewal of alcoholic beverage licenses for the state period of December 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2023, subject to compliance with all state and local regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll move the
Is
motion.
there a second?
Second.
Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and vote on this motion right now. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. So these are the two different approvals that we're giving, one for a limited license and one for a full license. So the first is a motion to renew the following Class B vitrilling limited alcoholic beverage license, subject to compliance with all state and local regulations. Benny's Clam Shack LLC, doing business as Benny's Clam Shack, 12 Sand Hill Cove Road.
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so the public hearing is open. Sorry, the motion to renew is open. Thank you. I'm sorry, there's distraction outside, now it just got to me for a second. So is any council member have anything to say on this motion at all? No. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to renew the following Class B victualling alcoholic beverage license, subject to compliance with all state and local regulations. WT Galilee Corp., doing business as Captain Foggy's Fish House, 294 Great Island Road. Is there a motion?
I'll move the
Is
motion.
there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I have a question. In the blue sheet, it says that, because I can remember this coming up when I had attended this council meeting previously, and it says the owner is applying for the renewal license to keep the liquor license active and be eligible for a possible transfer. So is the business still open at this point, or has obviously the transfer hasn't gone through? Or is it a sale, or,
It is a sale. The transaction has not gone through for the sale of the building. The actual business is currently closed and has been, but he wants to continue on with keeping the license active so he can transfer, because the sale is still in process.
Okay, yes. Is there any time limit involved in that? How long you can have establishment closed and keep the license open? I mean, we're going to be renewing this license on a closed
Right.
building.
So they will have to comply with all local and state regulations before we can even issue the license. So they will need approval from the Department of Health, et cetera, before we can issue. So they will have to meet all the guidelines set in place for licenses.
I was just wondering, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. And finally, Sarah, the motion to close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, the motion is passed and the public hearing is closed. So we'll move on with our business, and we have gone through building and zoning, fire department, police department, so now we're at community development. There are two motions this evening in regard to having adopt-a-spot agreements. The first is a motion to authorize the town manager to sign an adopt-a-spot agreement with the following individuals for the location at Crooked Brook North Trail, Caprice Ranchaw, and Alan Yick of Key Properties. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second.
Second? Okay, what this is going to be doing is they're going to be maintaining and cleaning up the area for 3 years. And the area that this is off of South Pier Road. Both the Land Conservancy Trust and the Conservation Committee have approved this because essentially this is on land trust land. Any question or discussion with the council? Any from the
I'd just like to say that, we had a meeting with Caprice at the Land Trust about this. She was very excited about doing it, and we're really excited about having her, so I think it's a great idea.
Anyone from the public? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to authorize the town manager to sign an adopt-a-spot agreement with the following individual for the indicated location at Knowles Way Extension, Manny Andrews. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion with the council?
Just one more thing I'd like to say, because Knowles Way Extension, that particular access point is really lovely, and he's done a great job with it so far, so I think it's a great idea to continue this.
Is there anyone from the public? And this is actually a renewal, so we have to really thank him for
Right.
wanting to keep in pitching with the town, so appreciate it.
It's beautiful.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next motion is a motion from the Parks and Rec Department, a motion to approve the amendment of 2 agreements for surf lessons and rentals for surf camps at the town beach with Warm Winds LTD from a 5-year lease to a period of 3-year lease agreements. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on the council? Okay. This is in line with the motion from last week where we changed the agreement for the skate shop from 5 years to 3, and we are doing the same with the other surf shop. So any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next motion is a motion to reject the bids received for the summer and winter brochures from 2023 for the Parks and Rec Department. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this is there was only one bid, and the bid was higher than the department has the funding for. So they have decided to go ahead and use Facebook, the town website, and the school department instead of using funds that they don't have. Any comment from the council?
Just
And-
one comment.
Yes.
Shel, will you still be able to, okay. You're still going to
Good
be
evening.
able to, have
Good evening.
prints out some of these at your availability, just around the shop and all?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So Jerry Contaldo, our clerk at Parks and Recreation, she'll still make the brochures, she'll still make the flyers for all the different events, programs that we will be hosting throughout town. We will send those flyers out We'll post them at our kiosks throughout town, our different offices here at Town Hall, and also we'll use the list server with the school department and get all those activities, events, et cetera, sent out on the list server with that school department. So again, we're still going to be doing all of the work, presenting the information on the programs and events. It's just that we're not going to put that booklet together anymore because the cost is just getting to be too high.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anyone from the public? Okay, I call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to approve the purchase of one new Metro message board for Parks and Recreation and the Beach Division from ATS Equipment in the amount of $16,425, utilizing the State of Rhode Island Master Price Agreement. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, discussion on this. This is the friendly message boards that we see in front of the beach, directing people to different locations, also used for events in town. Does anyone have any questions?
Do you have questions?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, Susan. Michelle, I was just curious about a couple of things. One is, do we already have one of these, or is this the first one?
This is the first one that we've had with our department. The last couple of years, we've been borrowing the signboard from DPW.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, Stephen.
And where would you put this?
So this signboard can be put at numerous
Anywhere.
locations. So we'll probably have it to start right at the intersection of Beach Street and Narragansett Avenue, alerting, for example, local road races. Just a reminder, we have the State Police 5K, or starting April 30th, 2023, the sales offices open at the beach. We received some recent negative feedback in October with the scarecrows in the pier. Apparently, a lot of people weren't aware of the event, and our numbers were low. So again, we would try to get ahead of that, get that information out, weeks before. Don't forget, scarecrows is this time, Festival of Lights is coming up too, and also for safety as well, conditions of the beach. If we have a high surf undertow, we'd like to be able to present that information. Lot closures, when people come and hit that intersection of Narragansett Avenue and Beach Street, especially people trying to get to the west lot. Sorry, the west lot is closed. Trying to alleviate that congestion of people driving north, doing the U-turn, only to be disappointed that the lot's not available.
So it's local, essentially, related to the beach in the center of town, is the idea,
Beach
right?
in the center of town, yes, please.
Okay. Just, I'm thinking that, sometimes folks from the south end of town don't see, they're not there as regularly as others, and so they might not see those kinds of things at all. But, maybe we just put another one in a couple of years.
Right. And we could certainly move it too. Possibly one of our survey questions this year could be, what did you think about the new signboard that the Parks and Recreation was able to purchase? And if we need to move it maybe near the middle school or elementary school, or maybe closer to the Dunes Club, it's certainly very mobile, easy to program, so certainly we could see about moving it around to different locations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? Susan's all set. Anyone from the out there, public? Very few of you. All right, we'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next motion is a motion from engineering, a motion to approve the wireless communication tower antenna lease agreement and an initial 5-year lease agreement with cellular wireless for AT&T communications equipment at the North End water tank site. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, this is a 5-year lease that is in line with all other municipalities for AT&T communications. Does anyone have any questions or comments from the council? Susan, you're all set. Okay, anybody from the public?
Stanley would be happy with this one, too.
All right, we'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to reject the bid for the pump station wet well cleaning contract. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there was only one bid that was received, and it was not adequate to cover, so the town is rejecting. Is there any comment from the council?
I'm curious about what we're going to do.
They're going to refine the scope of the work.
Oh, that's right.
They're going to redefine it and see, to get the job done, to see if they can get additional vendors to respond.
Do we know of other vendors that might be interested? I mean,
Yes, good evening. The vendor that had it previously did not bid on it. We only have one vendor from out of state, and we're going to, as Jim, the town manager mentioned, we're going to amend the contract and allow for a different window. I think in talking to the wastewater superintendent, the winter restriction where we were doing over the winter when our crew had more time to support them was a little problematic for some vendors. They actually have a winter shutdown and the like, which caused our bidding to be reduced. So we'll bid the thing again in a month or two and see if we can fare better.
and there's no harm to waiting to do this, right? It's not problematic in any way?
No, it's an annual maintenance activity that we do, but so as long as we maintain a schedule, you know, we have a smaller vac truck, and we can maintain and do smaller work on the stations if they become problematic, but none of the stations are in a bad condition right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The next motion is a motion to approve the contract amendment with Ty and Bond for the additional services related to the Scarborough wastewater treatment facilities groin restoration project in the amount of $159,210. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I know that both Mr. Tierney and the town engineer are going to tackle this one for us.
This project is, it's an absolutely necessary project, and it was one of the ones that we recommended to be funded with the American Rescue Plan Act fund, and the town council did approve that. They appropriated $1,250,000 to it. The entire project is going to cost approximately $2.5 million. The rest of it will be from a $625,000 grant from Rhode Island DEM and a loan from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank. And John has really been into the weeds on this one because this is a very significant project, as much as the improvements in the water system are on the other end. John?
Yes, as Jim summarized there, this project's been in the works for several years now, and the engineering services go back to 2018 when they first did the initial studies on the groin, and then that followed with a design contract to design the plans and specifications. There were some grant applications that were applied for previously, but they didn't have sufficient funding for the town to be able to move forward. So when we got the next grant, excuse me, the grant for $125,000 from DEM, that was the town match requirement of a matching loan from the infrastructure bank, and then in the interim time period from when the initial design was completed to currently, the construction costs had escalated, so we had a revised cost estimate done, and that's where we got the $2.5 million construction project.
John,
And then-
not to interrupt, did we match that 600,000? Do we match that number?
625 was the grant, and then the match is required to be in the form of a loan through the infrastructure bank. So we've got to pay the loan back to the infrastructure bank, so that's our 50% match of the grant loan is like a 50/50
Okay.
on that portion of the project. And then essentially we did it, the grant and the loan are 50% of the total project cost, and the other 50% being the ARPA funds.
Thank you.
And then this portion here is the last portion of the engineering services, which will go through bidding and construction. So this one, when we go out to bid, we should be ready to go out to bid shortly with it, but we still need to get the grant agreement approved, which waiting for comments back from DEM on the revised grant agreement, and then that'll be presented to the council shortly.
Thanks.
So in what Ty, and I assume that's how you pronounce that, Ty and Bond are doing is they're sort of shepherding the process through, is that they're
Yeah, they're the design consultant for this project, and they were also the design consultant for the berm that was built around the floodproofing berm, so that's, and the drain manhole construction, which we're just completing out there now as well. So their role and responsibility is design of the completion of the design documents, all the permitting documents, and getting the permits approved. And then when we go into construction, they'll be responsible for assuring that the project is built in conformance with the plans and specifications.
Okay. I just wanted, it took me a long time to figure this out, so thank you.
Are there any other comments from the council? Anyone from the public?
That's good. Good plan.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The next motions are from the Public Works Department. The first is a motion to read, pass, and adopt as a second reading a resolution amending the official list of parking restrictions and regulations in the town of Narragansett in accordance with the Narragansett Code of Ordinances. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, this motion was on at the last meeting, and I found it a little bit odd at first because it was removal of a handicap spot, but taking a look more into the situation, the owner had, yes, the prior resident had been handicapped and had required and asked for and was granted by the town of Narragansett a parking space on the road be handicapped. That person has now moved on, and the new owner would like to have it be a open spot for anyone, not just for handicap. Does any other comment from the council? Anyone from the public? I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to approve the renovations and upgrades to the second floor of the tower, of the West Tower, to be completed by Abcor Restorations in the amount of $50,000, utilizing the general construction service contract. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second? Okay, and the money coming from this is from the historic grant account and also the towers account.
And so, Dave's here.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the renovation, what's going to happen?
Good evening, council members, and congratulations on your election. I'm Dave Osterhout, Chairman of the Towers Committee, and it is one of the initiatives discussed and approved by the Towers Committee to upgrade and refresh the appearance of the second floor West Tower. So for those of you who are familiar with the building, that would be the hallway leading from the elevator lobby past the caterer's kitchen. It would be the two restrooms, the men's room, the ladies' room, what we call the boardroom, which is the meeting space, and then the bride's room. The project is going to involve some changes to the lighting in the boardroom, which most of you probably recall that as being strip fluorescent lights. They're going to remove all of that, add more recessed can lights, and there'll be some wall repair work associated with that electrical work. Then the ladies' room and men's room are going to receive repainting and some changes in the color scheme. The hallway is going to get some wainscot and chair rail detail just to jazz it up a little bit and make that transition from the elevator lobby to the bride's room and the boardroom a little more inviting. There'll be new carpet in the boardroom and the bride's room. And once this project is done, we'll be upgrading furnishings and some more decorative but functional elements, particularly in the bride's room, to make it more useful. There's also going to be some window treatment on the inside. And I believe the interior decorator called out for wood shutters on the inside. So we want to make that area much more attractive than it's been for the last 20-something years. And it's very heavily used, as you all know.
And the renovation is long overdue for the bride's area.
That's
So,
the
yeah.
universal opinion.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, it's current state is it's functional, but it needs to be refreshed and made more attractive, more useful.
Thank you, Dave.
Anyone else from the council?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for what you do for the towers. It looks beautiful. And I agree with the bride's room. We couldn't sell my niece on it this year. She just didn't like it. So, anyone from the public? Okay, go ahead and we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. The next motion is a motion to approve the job description for the utility person position in the Public Works Facilities Division. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. This is going to be a combination of Jim and Steve. So, Mr. Tierney, if you could please start.
Yes, this position has been under discussion probably since I started here with DPW, with the expansion of the responsibilities of people who maintain the facilities, not just here at Town Hall. Several years ago, before, I'm not even sure what year it was, they had 2 positions that were cleaning the Town Hall at different shifts. We now have staffers doing it on overtime in the evening. They do good work, and they're available when we need them, but there are other facilities that are also covered by this. The Comfort Station, Town Hall, any town facility that the director or the deputy director of DPW determines needs additional attention. It is a Council 94 position. There was a previous title with no job description in the contract. Worked with HR and Steve came up with the job description. And now the union is also acceptable to it. But we would have to put into the contract if the council chooses to approve the job description for this position. If this is approved, then of course the next item following it regarding filling the position will follow.
Tim, I just want to make sure I understand it. It used to come out of DPW. They would send somebody over to the town hall if they needed night to take care of the town hall. But are you talking, now this position would be from other departments as well that?
Now, it would be a DPW position, it'd be a full-time position.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be restricted to, it would be, evening work at facilities such as the Comfort Station here at the town hall.
Oh, so it would be
on a
beyond
full-time
this
basis.
job. It could be in those other locations as well.
Correct. They
So it
could,
would be 2 people?
No, one.
no, it'd be
One.
one. Be one. DPW can direct them to work at any town facility that they choose.
Mr. Ferrandy?
Primarily, it'll be here, though.
Yeah, I was just curious on how, because usually it's been here. So what happens if there's a need here and there's how does that work? Is it
Well, right-
priority or how does that work?
Right now, we have no one here. We have, we're at the will of the staff who wish to work some overtime, but we can't make them.
So this would be a cheaper way to do it?
I would think so. Definitely be a more reliable, more efficient way, for sure. Guaranteed a full-time staff that's available here, and when things are done, they can also work at other facilities when needed.
Jim, what's the position? Is it like an entry-level laborers or something like that position, or a lower level to get started with it, or what's?
Basically, yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go back.
I just have a technical suggestion, which I've already mentioned to Steve. Just when I read through the job description, which is one of my favorite things to do.
Really, Deb?
Seriously. If you only knew how many I'd written in my life. One of the things that I noticed was this little conflict where in the nature of the work at the end, it says the position's working hours are from 2:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then in the following duties and responsibilities, the very next one, it indicates that part of the job is following procedures to open and/or secure the building each day. I just think it should be secure the building each day because I'm pretty sure you guys come to work before 2:30 in the afternoon. So just,
Right, so
and
that-
I would approve this as is, just change the
Yeah,
language a
that
little
could
bit.
be an addendum just to take out the open. I think we put it in there initially because if we
Because-
do have them in other buildings, we
Right.
may need them to open. Maybe it's a special event somewhere.
Well, I mean,
But
it's just that
the-
because of the nature of the work, the way that it's listed,
Yeah,
that it's a
we could
position
addend-
that starts at 2:30.
Yeah, we could change that because
Okay.
we could, at
mean-
will, if we need them to do something.
Right.
If they're available, they could come in
Right.
early if we needed them to.
I mean, it's a really small thing, but
Yeah,
just
it's
jumped
just
out at me.
remove the open and just have it just close
Yeah.
the building
Yeah,
and show
just
up
take
for your
that little-
shift, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't be an issue.
3 little words, take them out, so perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Steve. Sorry about that. Thank
So are we voting on the amended job description
Yeah, I guess.
that you just amended?
Jim, just to clarify, because I know I spoke about this with you actually just today, this is, we're adding a position, but the analysis that you have done, this position will actually save the town money versus the overtime from the people who had been doing this prior.
Not necessarily. It'll definitely make the job more efficient and provide an entry-level staff member to be available full-time to work at this facility and to work at other facilities in the town. But initially, it could, yes.
But this is the primary reason for the position, and consequently, you can, you said before that it's not just efficient, but it's also reliable. And that's, this is a big building.
And correct, the job description that Steve put together was somewhat broad because new things pop up daily that they'll ask these utility people to do.
Right, I'd also like to add that we'll save on that overtime cost, because that 40 to 50,000 a year that we're spending on overtime for that work at facilities will now go towards funding that position.
Right, sure.
So it's not like you're funding a full position, it's kind of like half almost, because it costs us a little over 100 to.
So it will be one person, though, the overtime, where different people coming in and getting the overtime,
Right,
which
so
was
that overtime-
expensive. So this will be a job description for one person to do that particular
Yes,
job.
and then they're held accountable too, because now you don't have different people every night. So now you can ensure that you get a better quality of work throughout the week as well.
And was this agreed with the union?
Yes.
They're
Yes,
happy
I-
about this, and they
yes,
think
I
it's,
talked to the union president Friday, and the only thing she said was just make sure when they do their contract negotiations that they add this shift differential part that we are suggesting for this, to make sure that's in the contract when they renegotiate, so that it's in there.
I did speak with 94's president today as well, and I said when it's contingent upon the council approving both the job description and the position, and then we will sit down with 94 to do an MOU to insert it into the contract, and then also discuss the shift differential because of the shift that it's going to be. But we weren't going to do that until we were sure we had council approval before we did it.
So the MOU will come after that, but soon, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Even better.
thanks,
right.
Steve.
Are there any questions from the public? Dr. Alba?
Dr. Al Alba, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. Yes, I agree with these two gentlemen, our town manager and the gentleman who's expert in this area. To me, it's a no-brainer. It should definitely be approved, and I know they do their due diligence, so thank you very much.
Okay. If there are no more comments from the council, we'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Excuse me, Jill. Can we make one motion to make that amendment and then go back to the main motion and make?
To make the Deb amendment? Okay, sure. Would you like to
up
go
to
ahead and
me,
make it?
So the original thing was to approve the job description for the utility person position in the Public Works Facilities Division with one modification to the job description in duties and responsibilities, number 1, instead of remove the words open and/or.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I did that one much better.
Nice job with that amendment, Deb.
Okay, so we're going to go back and do the main motion with the Deb edit.
So the main motion, are we rejecting that one, or is it?
We're just going to go ahead and approve it with the correct.
Right,
Oh, I
you
see.
say the main
Okay,
motion
okay,
as
got it,
amended.
got it, got it.
So to approve the motion to approve the filing of one utility person with the Public Works Department with the amendment made.
Right.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to approve the town council meeting schedule for the calendar year of 2023.
I'll move the motion.
Wait, don't we have to do 22?
22.
Yeah, we have to, 22.
I'm sorry. Steve was like, Jill, come on, I need my person.
That's right.
Okay,
Can't have the person, you can only have the job description,
exactly.
as amended.
A motion to approve the filing of one utility person position in the Public Works Facilities Division. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? from the council? Any discussion from, oh, Steve, yes?
No, I'm all
Oh, anybody from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, Steve. The next, a motion from the town clerk to approve the town council meeting agenda for the calendar year 2023.
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Anyone from the public? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to approve the meeting schedule for the budget process for the fiscal year 2024, which begins on July 1st, 2023.
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the council? Okay. Seeing none, having none, we'll go ahead and approve the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is a motion to appoint 2 individuals to the Harbor Management Commission. Is there a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
We did receive an application
Can
today.
we just clarify, are those alternate positions? Because it didn't say it on the sheet.
They are both alternates.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so they are, they're alternate 1 and alternate 2.
Yes. And we did receive an application today. I just wanted to make sure that the council members did also read it. It kind of came late in the day. And also wanted to ask the clerk, since that application was received today, are we allowed to consider that application tonight?
I think so. I don't think any,
Okay.
you can make a motion for someone who's not on, hasn't applied, I suppose. But
Okay. Well, they're just not on the blue sheet, but they did apply today.
Right.
Okay, great. Is there anyone who'd like to make a motion for someone to be on as an alternate number 1?
I'm wondering if we could continue this. I actually did not have a chance to look at it, and I'd like to be able to do that, if that's possible. So if we could just continue to the next meeting, would that be
Susan?
acceptable?
I see Harvey in the audience, and I was really going to put his name up because he's been a long-standing, hard-working person.
You're going to love hearing this. I agree with you, Susan.
Oh, well, take note of that. And so, Deb, I want to
trust
be
you guys.
respectful if you haven't read it. I know
No,
that
you
this
know
has
what?
been,
I trust you.
an ongoing situation over the years, and I know that he has service on another board, but I know he's, excellent what he does. I know he's a valued member to the Harbor Commission, so I would put his name up as a nomination.
Yeah, and he had taken the time off, the council had taken him off a committee, so he's taken the timeout period required to be able to come back to a committee. So I would second that.
I'll second the motion.
You want to second it as well? Okay. So there is, do we have to appoint each, Sarah, or do we do them at the same time?
No, and if you don't have any other nominations.
We do. There is.
Oh, there is another one.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do them in one motion if you want, or you
Okay.
can separate them if you choose.
Okay. I'd also like to nominate Steve Marasco for the Harbor Commission. His application was on the blue sheet. He's an avid boat person and
And I'll
sailing.
second that nomination. I know him personally and professionally, and Briggs Farm, he's not serving on any board presently. I think he would be added value to the Harbor Commission as well as alternate 2.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we're going to make the motion to add Harvey Cataldo as alternate number 1 and Steve Marasco as alternate number 2. Is there any comment from the public? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The next is the motion to reappoint 1 individual to the Tax Assessment Board of Review. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
That's a reappointment.
Second.
Yes, it's to reappoint. And this-
Johnny Shield.
John Shield. So just to clarify, so the former council passed on the 4th of October in 2021 that any date of commission for reappointment prior to that or on that date would be considered, they could be considered to have an additional term. John's date was 11/1, so it was just slightly after that date. So tonight, we need to make the decision whether or not that few weeks is going to matter. I'm looking to Steve, and I don't know, Steve, have you reviewed this as well?
I really, this one just came in late too, about 5 o'clock. I'm just seeing this, so I'd rather see it continue so I could at least give a little more thought to it.
Okay, there was another
And besides,
application that
listen
came
to
in
the other
today.
issues, yeah.
All right,
Yeah, we also, I was all ready for Johnny Shield for sure, but we also, if there's a week differential. I mean, if we start doing that, if they're not
agree.
adhering to our commitment
Yeah,
on
we
the
have to.
term, then, everybody else is going to want the same treatment. So we have to be careful about that. So it's good that you want to think about it and consider it and read your application. So I would second to wait until the next meeting to do that.
That sounds good. We have one other applicant on file, and maybe there's someone out there tonight that might also be interested and want to also put an application in. So we're going to alter this motion to be able to say, to hold until next meeting? Is that okay? Sarah? Is that fine, just to say that we're going to amend the motion to continue? Okay. All in favor?
Well, wait, so let's make the motion to continue,
Ma-
right?
Motion to continue.
And I'll second that. Is that what you said, Steve? You wanna
Yes.
go- And I'll second that.
Great. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. 4-0. The next motion is a motion to discuss the process to advertise and hire the municipal judge, town solicitor, and assistant solicitor. This motion was put on by Susan Cicely Bonanno.
I'll move the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Susan?
So I just put this on for discussion because I know the last meeting, there was a lot going on and there was a lot of confusion, and we actually voted to advertise, but we didn't really talk about what we were going to advertise, what the length was going to be, what papers, how we were going to do it. And so between the last meeting and tonight, I don't even know about the job descriptions, if we have all the job descriptions, but I wanted to talk about it, and I certainly wanted to see if anybody wanted to modify and take my motion off the table and say, let's just do what Councilwoman Kopech said, and let's give it 6 good months to see, to learn the solicitor and the municipal judge, and then make your decision in 6 months, but not to do anything rash, to open it up to advertise and interview at this time of the year. So it's just up for discussion.
Okay. I'd like to put this to Jim, because I know that on the council update we received on Friday, the town manager has done some work on this, so if you could let the town know what you've done.
Well, the council had directed us to start the process for the advertising. So we started looking, I reached out to the council to advise them exactly what has been done since then. I was able to locate a job description for town solicitor, which was approved on an item that Deb had proposed back in June of 2021 when James was appointed. That job description was approved by the council back then. Municipal court judge, there is no job description. It's by charter. And at the council's direction, we can move forward, but right now I'm just going to leave it there in the stack. The assistant town solicitor for zoning, subdivision, planning, we do not have a job description for that. We have been working on one. Our HR director is out this week due to a family emergency. But that is what we've done so far, and in the past, any job description is approved by the town council.
So, no, I didn't want to interrupt. When I looked at the charter, it says solicitor, and then it uses assistant solicitor. So there is some unity on those jobs. So I would say that they're in the charter. The assistant, they use the language several times. So I see them as interchangeable, really.
Yeah, we did, like I said, we did find the job description that was, I guess, adopted when it was advertised last time. And what we've been working on piecemeal with myself and community development, who works with, obviously planning and zoning a lot, and usually HR would be completing this function. But we would put the key components of that into that job description, which ultimately would not be my decision. It would be for the council to approve any type of a job description. We just started the process at the direction of the council based on the last meeting.
When do you anticipate having the advertisement ready for us to approve?
If the job description is included in it, it would normally have to be approved by the council.
So we have to approve the job descriptions before you can advertise. Is that
That is, based on the past, all job descriptions are approved by the town council.
before the advertisement?
But if the purpose of the job description is really for the interview process, can we advertise first? Do we have to have the job description ready? Because that doesn't go out in the advertisement, correct?
It should.
Sometimes the HR
That's
director
a
currently
human
is out this
resources,
week.
yeah.
It's, we just started to work on it when,
Yeah, so they know what to apply for,
Right.
But
right?
did that happen with the last time we had this process?
Yes.
yeah, the job announcement, the description did go out
Okay.
on the advertising sites. That's correct.
Okay. So our next meeting is the 19th? Correct. So we may have it available by the 19th to approve?
We'll certainly work on it with HR and
Okay.
the rest of our partners to get it to you.
Okay.
Perhaps maybe some language as far as, planning and zoning is. I mean, it was, that could be added to the job description. I mean, it's a council appointment, and, there was an appointment at one point for this position. Was there a job description at that point?
We don't believe so.
So it's a council appointment?
Yes, it is. The job description that we're working off, as Susan had mentioned, how frequently the assistant solicitor and solicitor is mentioned in unison.
Right.
That working with community development, we have inserted basically the responsibilities of the assistant solicitor into this description for your perusal and review. It just isn't completed yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Kopeck?
I'm good.
I'm as well as.
Yeah,
under
so
this.
I just want to be clear. So we're going to have the job descriptions for the next meeting.
Hopefully.
And then, because you want that description to be advertised or sent to the applicants so they know what the job is. And am I not hearing any modification on the motion to wait 6 months and move on? Is there anybody willing to continue down the path that we've had? Do we have any discussion? Anybody want to modify that?
I haven't changed my position since the last meeting. And again, this is not saying that we're replacing, it's saying that we're taking a look at it. We're going to interview our current and see who else is out there.
Yep, that's my position also.
Okay, and then the rest of the motion was, how long when advertised and all that. Just generally, Sarah, when we advertised in the past for solicitor, I mean, do they advertise for a month, 2 months? I can't remember. And what papers would we advertise in? I'm just curious of talking about. I just want to be fair to the public and the council. What are we talking about?
There's a variety of platforms that you can use, other than the basic one is the town webpage, social media, the ICMA website, Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, the state website for jobs and municipalities that's linked to the state Department of Labor and Training. And there's other platforms that we can use. We're looking at several right now, but because it's not finalized, I really don't want to say until we're sure. We don't know what the cost involved in it.
Fair enough.
Would it be the normal advertising that you've done in the past, basically, for these positions? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone from the public? Dr. Apple?
Yes, Dr. Al Albert, 24 Eagles Nest Terrace. Someone from the outside, we don't know what's going on from the inside. So we know that the town council, the prior town council, interactions, which whoever it might be, we're not privy of a lot of the things. Things are held in executive session. I do know that a lot of times these town solicitors and people who are serving, town manager, many times they're at the mercy of the town council in regards to, for example, let's take Galilee. If you have not told our town solicitor to do certain motions, such as let's issue a cease and desist, or let's do other actions, then he probably can't act that way. So I don't really know. So basically, you people are going to have to decide on how well Attorney Kavanaugh has been functioning based on the prior council, the interactions and whatnot, and then you're going to do all the interviewing. He seems to be a professional in my eyes.
Dr. Albert,
Okay.
we're talking
All right.
about,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
we're just going to keep you to the motion.
Okay.
We're talking about advertising only.
Okay, for advertising,
There'll be
fine.
plenty
Okay,
of
for
time for you to speak
okay,
at
for
that.
advertising, fine. And like I said, I have the greatest respect for Attorney Kavanaugh, our town manager, and all those who work and dedicated. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
I just want to add one other thing on my motion. We did,
Sure.
it did say, is it going to be public? And, I know we don't know, what papers we're going to advertise in and stuff, but, is that going to be something that is going to be an executive session, or is that going to be something that you would want to do in public?
Are you referring to the interviewing
Yeah,
itself?
yeah.
We didn't say that. We said advertising.
No, but in my motion, it was, were we going to be
Oh, I didn't see
public?
that.
Were we going to be public in the interviewing?
I didn't read the fact that you said that.
So I'm just curious of procedurally, I kind of want to know what we're walking into. It sounds like we're going to get a job description. We're not sure what papers, we're not sure how long we're going to advertise, and we're not sure if we're going to do it in public or in executive.
Well,
Does that sound
It
fair?
has to be, it's personnel, it has to be an executive.
it has to be unless they request, like a review, you can request in
It's not-
public.
well,
But,
an
this is just
interview.
a message of, a motion for discussing. And
Yeah,
certainly we
that's
could
why I
discuss
just
that.
wanted,
We can- we
yeah,
can
that's
talk
why I
further
wanted to
about
bring that up, because I did put, about.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, so I just was curious what the thoughts were. We've done a lot of, in the past, public interviews on the planning and zoning. They've come in the chamber and interviewed publicly, so I was just curious.
We've done that for boards and commissions, but I think that these positions,
It's personnel. We
Yes.
have to do it in executive session.
I would agree with Deb.
I mean, that's James. You'd know.
Well, they're appointed, so I don't know, it's a little,
Still
Well,
personnel.
it's kind of weird to ask James, don't you guys think?
It sure is.
Well, he's our solicitor right now, so that's his job. But
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, go ahead, James, take a stab
I
at
think that I think if you're a current employee, it's your choice, because you have to be notified by letter. But if it's a interview for a job, I don't think, I suppose the applicants could request a public interview, but I don't be under any obligation to have it in public.
Okay.
Thanks for that opinion.
All right, well, there's no vote on this, it was just a motion to discuss, so if there's any further discussion, you're all set, Susan? Okay, so is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Second.
All right, 4-0. Travel safe.